I'm graduating medical school. I'm going to be a pediatric surgeon. It's one of the biggest achievements in my entire family. As a matter of fact, my family is flying all over from around the United States just to be there for my graduation. So, I hit up my sister, who's a hairdresser. She said that she's going to make me look absolutely fantastic for my special day. But little do I know the joke's on me, because that two-timing piece of toxic crap made my best day the worst day ever out of nothing but jealousy. I, 26 female, have a sister, 29. We have no other siblings and have always been very close. I was a surprise baby, as my parents only wanted one daughter, but were blessed with two. My sister is a hairdresser, and she's pretty successful. All of my family are blue-collar, and my dad's a mechanic, as was his father and his father before him. My mom cleans houses for a living. I'm the first person in my entire family to go to college, which has been a source of real celebration for my parents. They always wanted both my sister and me to get degrees and work good jobs, but when my sister showed an interest in hair, they felt like I was their only hope. Luckily for them, I showed an interest in education ever since I was young. Well, I achieved my undergrad in pre-medication, and have now successfully graduated from medical school. Obviously, my parents are ecstatic. They never thought that they'd have a doctor in the family, and they're very proud of me. I'm planning to complete my internship, and once my residency ends, I'll be going into pediatric surgery. It's always been my dream to help sick children, and in a few years I'll be able to do so. My educational aspirations have always been a source of contention with my sister. She's jealous that her mom and dad are so proud of me. Honestly, I think she's silly. They're more than proud of her too, but she doesn't see it that way. Over the past few years, our relationship has become more and more strained. We were very close as kids, but once I made it clear that I was determined to become a doctor, and that it wasn't just a passing fancy, but something that I was willing to work hard for. She seemed to take it as personal insult, and in her opinion, I only decided that I wanted to go to college once she told mom and dad that she actually wanted to go to beauty school instead, as a way of upstaging her. It's ridiculous, of course. I don't care what my sister does. She could have become a rocket scientist. It wouldn't have stopped me from doing what it is I want to do. She thinks I care about her life a lot more than I actually do, which really is annoying. Because, honestly, the relationship between us hasn't been the same in a very long time. Also, it's not like mom and dad ever actually pushed either of us into doing something that we didn't want to. Sure, they always wanted us to go to college and encouraged us to do the best that we could. But the way she talks, you'd swear that they nearly disowned her for going against the grain or something. It's absolutely ridiculous. Mom and dad were happy for when she decided that she wanted to do hair. Sure, they hoped that she would want to go to higher education eventually, but it's not like they tried to change her mind. Anyways, with the bitterness that my sister has been holding, it's been really difficult for me to spend time with her lately. As I said, it started when I decided to go to college. But as the years have gone on, the hostility has become worse and worse. And now I can barely be in the same room with her. She'll start accusing me of trying to show her up, and all these other crazy things. It makes holidays difficult, and I know it upsets our parents to see us fighting all the time. I do try to turn the other cheek, more for my parents' sake than hers, but I won't just let her walk all over me and insult me for no reason. I do try to repair the relationship as best as I can, though, and that's why I asked her if she would do my hair and makeup for my graduation. It's a big deal. Medical school graduation, as you can probably tell, and the school makes a real big deal out of it. Mom and Dad are going to be coming into town for a week so they can come, and my entire family's going to be there and go out to dinner afterwards. Everyone wants to look good in their graduation pictures, so I went ahead and asked my sister if she would help me to look my best. Honestly, I expected her to blow me off and say no. I was ready to go somewhere else. I Just asked on the off chance to see if she didn't want to act like a baby for once, and to my surprise, she agreed. We decided that we would go the whole 9 yards to get me looking my absolute flawless best. The past few months, I've let myself go a little. I've been so busy with my exams to really take care of my appearance. So, we were going to do the whole shebang. She was going to bleach my hair, and we were going to add some nice little highlights. And she even got a friend from a nearby salon to offer me a chemical peel, so that my skin would look amazing on the day. Keep in mind, I know nothing about beauty and hair and makeup. I've always just been too focused on my studies to really pay much attention to learning how to do stuff. So it was a relief that she agreed to help. I should not have been so happy. The entire thing was an absolute disaster. My graduation pictures look ridiculous. I couldn't even go out for the celebration dinner with all my family. I was so embarrassed. First thing, my sister arranged for her friend to come to her salon to give me a facial and chemical peel. Everything was going well. My skin starts to tingle a little, but obviously I thought that was normal. Graduation was a week away, and I was told that the peeling would be done by then, and my skin would be glowing. Well, I believed them, and when my face started to peel and crack and bleed, I really believed it was just all part of the process. In the meantime, while my skin was falling off, my sister brought me into her salon. She sat me down, we reminisced, it was old times, before her jealousy of my success got in the way of our relationship. I was buzzing, absolutely ecstatic. It felt like I finally had my sister back, and I was just so glad that the difficult years were behind us. I was honestly patting myself on the back for asking her to help me out. At this point, I was thinking to myself that, as it turned out, my sister's issues was just that she felt like I didn't need her anymore. I was wrong in that too. So, she sat me down, she washed my hair, put on all the bleach, everything seemed so normal. I'd never bleached my hair before, so I didn't know what to expect anyways. I'd heard from my girlfriends that sometimes it could burn a little on your scalp, so when I started to feel a little tingle, I didn't say anything. Soon, though, the tingle turned into a burn. A burn that started to feel like my entire scalp was on fire. It was painful, and I was nearly brought to tears, honestly. My sister had gone out to get us lunch, so I was left alone for about 25 minutes. I was trying not to touch my scalp, but it was so painful and itchy. I was using a comb to scratch almost every few seconds. So, when my sister got back, I told her what's going on, and I saw her face drop immediately. She rushed me over to the hair washing chair thing and shoved me down into it. She was acting so frantic that even though I hurt myself when I was being dragged over, I didn't say anything. I just let her do her thing. At this point, I was in so much pain that there were tears falling down my face, burning the parts of my skin that was still sensitive from the chemical peel. While she was washing my hair, the bleach starts to run down my face and into my eyes, and they start to sting even more. It was a complete, utter disaster. I had to lean back as far as I could in the chair and literally use my feet to push my head back so that she could wash my eyes out. So, at this point, I was pretty much blind. My face and head been burning like I've been dunked in a vat of acid. I was in so much pain, and my sister was cursing under her breath while she was washing my hair out. She wrapped a towel around my head and brought me back to the salon chair. I could see that my eyes were absolute bloodshot, and my sister looked so pale and nervous. So, she unwraps my head, and I see the entire head of hair is pretty much gone. The bleach just absolutely disintegrated my hair, making it just snap off. And all that was left was this crazy yellow gummy-looking tuff. Mind you, my graduation is in 2 days. I was panicking at this point. I was absolutely losing it. My hair was literally gone, so I start to scream. I was yelling, I was crying.
I was telling my sister to do something, but honestly, I don't know what exactly I expected her to do. She couldn't glue the hair back on. All she was doing was apologizing like crazy and saying that she was pacing back and forth while I yelled at her. Suddenly, she gets the bright idea that I can wear a wig to my graduation. Yeah, a hair wig. Since her salon doubles as a beauty school, the students there practice on wigs before they move on to human hair. So there's always one or two laying around somewhere. And would you believe, oh, it's just my luck, the only wig in the entire place with this abominable, bright, yellow, neon-looking thing that looks like no one'd run a brush through it in a century. Again, I was panicking. This was my only chance of looking halfway decent, and now it was ruined. But no, my sister said that it could be fixed. She promised me that she could make the wig look good as new. I don't know why I trusted her at this point. I guess I just hadn't noticed the fact that all the mishaps and misfortunes were happening around her. She sounded credible, and she told me she could use a wig shampoo, that she could detangle it easily, and that she could tone down the color. After the disaster with my hair, I was trying to be hopeful, and so I said what the heck and just trusted her. Fast forward 2 days, it's the morning of my graduation. My parents have driven 3 hours to get to the city and shelled out a lot of money to get a hotel room for a week. My sister has been AWOL, not answering her phone, and when I call or text her to ask how the wig is going, and my skin, by the way, is an absolute nightmare. See, I was told that the chemical peel I was getting was very mild, that it would cause some peeling, but would have been done within a week, and would leave my skin looking fresh and rejuvenated. Instead, it was fire truck red. My entire face was swollen. Whenever I moved my mouth or my eyes or any part of my body, my skin would crack open and start weeping. On top of this, I was leaving flakes of skin wherever I went, as it would just fall from my face uncontrollably. I don't know if it was the bleach that ran down my face while my sister was washing my hair or what, but I was suffering from some pretty severe chemical burns. I'd done everything I could think of. I'd moisturized, toned, exfoliated. See, at first the peel was really pretty mild. My skin was peeling, but the skin underneath was looking really beautiful and radiant. Throughout the week, it got a little worse, more sensitive, but when I asked my sister about it, she said that it was a natural side effect of the enzymes, and that it gets worse, but then it gets better really quick. Well, she's wrong. I swear, I look like a diseased ogre or something. I look like someone who had been out in the sun with no sunscreen for 10 years straight with no sleep. I was burnt, bleeding. My skin was weeping everywhere. I spent the hours leading up to the ceremony sobbing in my mom and dad's hotel room. They had no idea what to do, and I was going to skip the entire thing. I felt bad that they've come up here for nothing, but there was no way that I was going to show my face in public looking like the way I did. My parents, not knowing any of what happened, called my sister and told her I was here. She showed up with her makeup kit, and with her was the most hideous, ugly wig I'd ever seen in my entire life. While the wig had been ugly in the salon, whatever it was my sister did to it, she somehow made it 10 times worse. It looked like it's been backcombed or something, like a bird made its nest with it. It was just crazy, barely chin length, though it had so much volume. It all just pointed straight out, and it's been dyed the ugliest, most disgusting shade of orange. Not like sweet, natural auburn, I mean traffic cone orange. And my sister even had the audacity to walk into the room with a smile on her face like she was ready to save the day. Her face didn't even change when she saw my skin. She just rolled her eyes and told me that I was being a baby. It was at that point that I really just lost my cool with her. I reckon everything within a 100-mile radius at the hotel heard me because I unleashed the beast on her. I really did. I didn't even really believe what I was saying. I was just spewing out hate and frustration so that I could make her feel the way I was feeling. I told her that she was spiteful, jealous, a jerk, and that she was an absolute terrible sister. I accused her of doing this to me on purpose so as to sabotage my big day. She just rolled her eyes at me and told me to stop being so dramatic. I didn't even know how to react to that. How could she think I was being dramatic when my face was basically destroyed, and I barely had 2 hairs left on my head? At this point, my legs had more hair than them and my head, and it just looked like an inverted clown, red-faced whitehead. Eventually, my sister managed to calm me down from my hysterics, with the help of my mother. My poor dad was banished from the room. I think he was grateful that he didn't have to deal with me anymore, to be honest. Mom and my sister helped me wash my face, and I can't describe how painful it was. I didn't even look human anymore, and the tears were just causing even more pain by burning my skin every time they fell. My sister tried to cover it up as best as she could with a thick layer of foundation, but I still looked an absolute mess. The makeup barely sat on my skin, and it was creasing everywhere. My mom had to take a pair of manicure scissors and cut off the flakes of skin that were falling as close to the skin as possible, because I looked like I'd come down with leprosy. But peeling them off just left me bleed. My sister put the wig on my head, and even though I had just calmed down, once I got a look at myself, I started crying all over again. I can't describe how disgusting I looked. I looked like some kind of swollen, wet alien. The color of the wig did nothing to disguise the redness in my face. If anything, it just brought it out. The heavy makeup just made me look like a clown or a kid who got into their mother's makeup. I looked positively terrible. I was just absolutely wailing at this point. I can't emphasize how hysterical I was. Just deep sobs coming out of me like a foghorn or something. Mom was pacing the room and she had no idea what to say to me to make me feel any sorts of ways better. She couldn't tell me that I looked fine because we both knew the truth. I didn't. I decided then and there that I wasn't going to my graduation. There was no way in heck I was going to show up looking like a puffy baboon's butt in front of all my classmates and their families. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. And my mom seemed to agree, but when my sister heard it, she sat me down and she brought me down to my senses. She said that I've worked my butt off to get where I was, that passing medical school was barely something anyone could claim that they've done. She said she was not going to allow me to sit around moping. Not when I was the first person in the family who's even gone to college, let alone actually graduated. She said that I would be letting down my family if I didn't go and commemorate the moment, but that I'd also be letting myself down. After all those sleepless nights I've spent studying, all the fun I missed out on with my social life, she said I owed it to myself, and that in a few years I'd look back at this and just laugh at myself for even considering skipping it. I still didn't feel good about it. I was in a lot of pain, but eventually she managed to get me to agree to go. Mom seemed happy that I was going to go, and she called my dad back from wherever he went to avoid the hysterics. Well, I went. I walked up on stage in my cap and gown and got my diploma. I don't know if I imagined it or not, but it did seem like a gasp went up through the hall when I walked up on the stage. I asked Mom if she noticed, but she said no. She might have just been being nice, though. I couldn't tell. I could tell the photographer didn't quite know what to make of me. I think my face must have sent the red balance off his camera crazy, because he had to make a lot of adjustments to the settings when he was taking the picture. Honestly, I started feeling a bit better. My friends were all there with all their families, happy to finally be graduating, and I kinda started getting caught up in the atmosphere. I started to smile, talk to my friends. I was even making jokes about why I was wearing a wig. I told them my hair fell out because of exam stress. A few people gave me crazy looks, but mostly everybody was kind and polite about the situation. That was until I went to try to find my sister. When I was introducing her to some of my friends, she excused herself to go to the bathroom, which is fine, right? I told her I'd see her soon. After about 15 minutes' time, though, I rejoined my mom and dad where they were talking to a classmate's parents, and she was not with them. I thought that she must have gotten lost on the way to the bathroom, which was understandable seeing as the hall was really big and difficult to navigate. I went to the bathroom to find her. When I opened the door, I could hear her voice. I assumed that she was just talking to somebody she must have known, but when I walked in, she was alone in a stall talking on the phone. I didn't think anything weird about it, and I was going to leave to tell my parents that she's coming back soon, when I heard her say my name. Honestly, when I heard that she was talking about me, I felt a little proud. I thought that she was probably just bragging about her little sister, who has soon to be a doctor. So I sneaked closer to the stall to hear what she was saying. Imagine my actual surprise when I heard that she was laughing about how bad I looked with her friend. My heart just about dropped in my stomach. I felt so sick. She was actually making fun of me on the phone, and from what I gathered, the person she was talking to was the girl who gave me the facial and the chemical peel. As it turns out, the both of them have done this on purpose. Yeah, that's right. My sister was at the very venue of my graduation, bragging to her friend about how their plan to sabotage me worked with flying colors. Apparently, they've deliberately used double amounts of whatever went into the chemical pill. They'd known that it wouldn't be healed by graduation, and they'd known that it would give me these burns. They didn't care. My sister was laughing about how she deliberately left me in the salon alone with the strongest bleach she had in my hair while she pretended to get us food. I remembered then that in my panic of my sister coming back to the shop and my telling her that my scalp was burning like crazy, I hadn't even noticed that she came back empty-handed. I'd been so focused on my hair and my pain that I didn't even have entered the mind or wonder where the food was. At this point, I felt like I was going to vomit. I couldn't believe that my sister would do something like this to me. It was a complete, utter betrayal, and I never could have imagined she would do it. When I was leaving, I caught sight of myself in the big mirror on the wall behind the sink, and I realized that even though I may have forgotten for an hour how awful I looked, no one else could have. I ran out of the bathroom. I found my mom and dad, and I told them I was going home and that the dinner is canceled. I was just about sobbing at this point, so neither of them really put up much of a fight. They asked me to wait for my sister, and I said that we could just take a cab back to the hotel together, that we could go ahead and get takeout instead of a fancy meal. But at this point, I was just absolutely finished. I was done. So I told them to wait for my sister themselves, and I caught the first taxi home. I'm home now, alone. My roommates were all in school with me, so I can only assume that they're all out with their families, celebrating their successful graduation. I'll admit that I ordered Chinese food, and now I'm really just sitting here, pigging out while writing this to you guys. I feel like this is the only way I can really get what I'm feeling right now. I'm remembering the fact that it was her idea in the first place to dye my hair blonde. I had black Asian hair, and I knew that bleach doesn't react well with our hair, but I allowed my sister to talk me into it, and now look what's happened. I guess you guys could probably think that I'm stupid. I mean, what kind of person completes 6 years of medical school and doesn't realize they have a chemical burn on their face? I thought that reaction I was having to the chemicals was a natural one. I'd never done much research on facials, and my sister did tell me that my face would peel and be sensitive for a few days after. Probably her way of making sure I didn't rush to the ER as soon as my skin starts flaking off. I don't even know what I'm going to do here. What can I do is the real question. I can't let her get away with doing this to her own sister, but it's not like I can go to the police over my appearance. I'd get laughed out of the station. I just feel so betrayed. I don't know what I'm going to tell my mom and dad. I know that inevitably I'm going to have to tell them why I rushed off so suddenly. It's not like I wanted to protect my sister from their anger. I know that once they find out, they're going to rip her a new one. And well, the thought of that does bring me considerable joy. I just don't want to cause drama for them within the family. They don't need me to start a family feud or something. You might say that it's not me who started it, it was my sister, but that's not how things work in my family. We keep things to ourselves and mind our own business. Anyways, guys, thanks for reading. I think I just needed to vent a bit and get it off my chest, rather than keep this bottled up inside, poisoning me with hatred. This is not the last you're going to hear from me. Mark my words, as I'm not going to let my sister get away with this. I just have to come up with a way to get my revenge, without being liable for anything. I'm going to make an appointment with my doctor in the morning so that he can analyze the damage to my skin, because as of right now, it's worse than ever. I'm just hoping that this wound doesn't scar.
What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So there is an update for this one. And guys, just so you know, things get a little bit out of control. I hope you guys are having a great day. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button so you never miss an upcoming story. And let's see what's going on with the hair fiasco. Hey everybody. Thank you all for showing such interest in what's been going on with me. I'll tell you all the good news first, and that is that my sister's been fired from her salon. You have no idea how vindicated I feel for this. I'm absolutely ecstatic. It's been 3 weeks now since my disastrous graduation, and when I told my friend about what happened the next day, she said that we should complain to my sister's boss. She said that, if anything, maybe they would compensate me for the medical expenses, and I agreed. So we went to the salon. Well, because my sister had opened the place on a Monday when she wasn't supposed to in order to do my hair, her boss hadn't even known that she's done anything. We told her. When her boss starts getting that mad look on her face, I was sure that I was going to be getting some sort of compensation. I think the owner just didn't want to take on the responsibility. So, she said that she had no obligation to me. I think she was just trying to protect her business, but I was still furious. My friend and I decided that this was not good enough, and I had the idea to stand outside the shop with pictures of my burns, to discourage other customers from entering. Well, my friend loved the idea, so we went home and we made a sign with my burns all blown up on them, and we marched ourselves back up to that salon. I think the fact that I still have these crazy wounds on my face helped our case quite a bit. Because as soon as the people trying to get in saw us, they turned right away, got in their cars, and left. The owner was so mad she called the police. The cops arrived, but there was nothing they could do about us picketing. We weren't doing anything illegal, so they just left. It was a real victory. Eventually, by the end of the day, I think we scared off around 30 people. If the owner thought that we were done, though, she was wrong. 2 more days, we came back with our signs, and I don't know how much revenue we cost the salon, but after the second day, a local newspaper came and took pictures of our protest. We were in the paper, and I told them exactly what my sister has done, and it was right there on the front page printed out for everybody to see. Eventually, after the 3rd day, the owner gives up. She called us into her office and told us that if we stopped our protest, she would fire my sister. That's all I wanted. So, we agreed. That's the good news. The bad news is that my sister had been visiting friends the entire time we've been protesting, so she had no idea this whole thing was happening. She came back 2 days ago and found herself without a job. And now my parents have been calling me nonstop. I suspect that my sister heard the entire story and edited it a little, probably, trying to make herself look like the victim in the situation. I doubt that she told them what she did. I've been ignoring my mother's calls. I was waiting for my sister to call me herself and apologize.
but she hasn't contacted me once. Just ran and told on me to mommy and daddy. The other shoe's about to drop though, because the next time mom calls to ask why I got my sister fired, I'm telling her the whole shebang. This may seem like a waste of time to a lot of y'all, but not to me. My sister caused me severe injury, and my dermatologist has told me that my face will probably scar due to the chemicals I was roughly exposed to. She ruined my graduation out of pure jealousy, and there's no way I was going to let her get away with that. Well, that's the end of it for now. Thank you everybody who commented, gave me advice on how to handle this. A few of your suggestions really were funny, and they brought me out of the funk that I found myself in.
Guys, it honestly just astounds me. Out of all the stories we read, how jealous, manipulative, narcissistic, just plain toxic people can be. This one was really bad. We're talking about OP's own flesh and blood, her sister, ruined her biggest day possibly, embarrassed her to all her colleagues and workmates, everybody. Only good thing I can say that came out of this story was the swift justice and revenge at the end of the story when OP was able to get her sister fired from the salon. However, I hope a lot of one-star reviews were left for that salon because the owner didn't even want to do anything until push came to shove. Guys, that's all the stories for today. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comment section. If you're new to the channel and you want to see more stories, go ahead and subscribe. I'm here every day. Have an amazing day, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.